Yeah, I saw the Beyonce movie. Yeah. I'm gonna state this. I feel like everybody who is building something, brand, business, creative of some way, shape, or form, needs to go watch this movie. Hands down. Hands down. First, I'll go with a little bit of negative. It was extremely long. I got there like 4:30. I didn't leave till like 7:30. It was extremely long. And I'm not
3
the
hours?
movie type. Yeah, I'm not the movie type. I stopped going to movies once they regularly made it like 2 hours. I can't do it. It just, why is something so long? So this, I went in when there was light and I came out when there was dark. Now, granted, it could turn dark in like 5 minutes after 4, but it was extremely long movie. So that's one negative that I have. However, I went to a movie theater that had the Dolby Atmos. Wow. I want them speakers in my house. Okay. Wow. That made a huge difference. But going from a lesson thing where, yes, it was totally formed around the concert, but what Beyonce did was definitely go more on the documenting the process. One thing that she wanted to make clear was that it took 4 years to do this tour. 4 years. And the reason why it took so long is because she pays attention to every single detail. There was like hundreds of different versions of the stage that we, saw in every city. Hundreds, to the point where each of the pieces that you see on that stage is individual screens. Individual screens. That's not like one big thing. It's like individual going all the way around. She paid attention to everything from the lights and when she would start singing, when the lights would hit her, when everything would turn off, what other light would go to a different place. Everything from the lenses. She's like, yo, can we have a wider lens? Like, I know this is a fisheye, but can we do a wider lens? Okay, we can do a 6mm. Like, she was extremely involved in everything. The thing that, and I was talking to my community about this, the thing I now wonder as like a brand and as a leader, we hear a lot, and I want to have this conversation with you, where we hear a lot of, stay in your genius and then get everybody else around you who could do that. Like, but when we see certain people and who are on that great status, like Beyonce is literally one of the living legends. I don't want to hear anybody say anything different, right? And she is so involved. Everyone on her team will be like, she is one of the most hands-on people ever. Yet there's some of us that are just like, oh, I don't even touch that. You got to ask this person. Or I'm not really sure. We have a whole team that does that. I actually have the question of what is right and what is wrong. Do you have to be that involved in order to get to Beyonce status, right? And it's very conflicting, right? It's very conflicting because I will hear, nothing without your team. And they're not saying that there isn't a team, but I do hear a lot of people who are on great status and how involved they are and how hands-on they are. So my question to you is more of, is that really what we're supposed to be doing compared to the other one? Like, just get everybody else who does it. Like, what's your thoughts?
the leader for sure is so involved primarily from a visionary standpoint. And I think their involvement beyond just simply saying, hey, this is where we're going or this is where we want, is to simply maintain the standard, right? It's with the vision comes a standard. And if you just plant the vision or communicate the vision and you run, people may or may not deliver on that. But I don't know that it will match what you want exactly. So I think for one, the involvement primarily is that. Now, I do know this to be true is that the internet has completely undersold or misled people to believe how much work goes into that level of success. I think that it's primarily communicated that the reality of success is that you make a lot of money and you sit on the beach all day and you do nothing, which is not necessarily true. I think there's a level of, just from not beyond being involved, just how much challenges or fires you put out on a regular basis. There are some situations where, yes, the team now starts to elevate with you because they have some level of ownership. They have some level of maybe even part in the vision that they feel by helping this person get to where they want to go, I too actually get to my vision in the process. So I want to be as equally as involved. I want to be as equally as yoked, right? So in that case, it's usually almost a blessing. And I think it also depends on the leader, because sometimes leaders are like, whoa, okay, you're too involved. You're getting on my nerves. Like, I need you to back off a little bit. So, it depends on the person, but for sure, I think from a vision and a standard person primarily, perspective, I should say, primarily, that's what the cause of the involvement to that much. Now, I don't know if it varies from a creative standpoint. Maybe you could talk about that. Like if the concept is more creative than it is, let's just call it operational or fundamental from a business standpoint, maybe you don't need to be as involved in the monotony of it.
What she does is creative.
Well, that's what I mean, because I was going to say to you, like maybe in creative endeavors, the leader has to be more involved because it's something that you see and you feel, and you need to be involved to really choreograph how it comes together. Where let's say you're running a logistics company, I don't know that as a leader, you need to be so involved in making sure that the pickup is picked up at the exact location and dropped off at the, right? Like it's different when it's a little bit non-creative. So that's what I was saying. Maybe you can talk about that. Like, could that be the main cause?
That's why I'm asking these. That's why I'm asking these questions of like, does that kind of make a difference because it is creative? Because I mean, I've also heard, but then you hear that negative word of micromanaging, right? And for me, because I believe so much in creative freedom when working with people, I have the tendency to do definitely not micromanaging, but almost not managing at all, because I'm like, go, I know what you can do. This is great. And then it lately this year is, I wouldn't say all, because I've been very blessed with getting people who understand the vision. But when you bring outsiders, then I'm realizing there has to be a little bit more of me involved. But that's what I was saying. To see that was like, okay, get on a little bit more, Nicky. Like, if you really have this vision, and I think this was a good thing to see, where if you do have this vision and you are not making sure it is executed exactly in the way that you have, like you have it in your head, you're doing only a disservice for yourselves. Like, it was like you would see her extremely tired, but how it paid off in every single show was worth it to her, right? And clearly to the audience. another thing that was beautiful to see was how inclusive Beyonce's tour is and her staff. So what we learned in an episode with Jabari was the importance of showing more of the audience than necessarily like yourself or the main people of that particular event. Now, granted, this is Beyonce. We want to see Beyonce. We do want to see the audience, but we really just want to see Beyonce and the whole situation. However, her team did an amazing job of showcasing every ethnicity, every person from different backgrounds, different languages, different sexuality, different vibes, different swag. It was amazing to see, but also how she made sure it was represented in her staff as well. So I know who I attract, but let me make sure that when you come here, you feel connected because you see somebody who represents you on stage as well. Whether it is from the dancers, whether it is from the backup singers, from the people from the trumpet. They had a chick which this one, like, for some reason stuck in my mind. She was pregnant. I mean, full blown. Chick looked like she was 8 months. Okay. Full blown pregnancy, blowing the trumpet. And she, in a certain point of the movie, was like, this is amazing because as artists or just as a female, you're in a position to either pick your career or your family. And over here, I don't have to pick either or. It's all inclusive. Like, we're going to make sure the baby is good, check on you, that whole nine, but you don't have to leave if you don't want to, right? And so it showed the journey of when she announced it to Beyonce to everything throughout the whole tour. So that was amazing to see. As far as all the different dancers from different shapes and sizes and ethnicities and that whole nine, her importance, which is so cool because in this movie, it really showed how important community is to her. So she was just more like, for this tour, I've been in a great position to now showcase the community and show love to the community, and that this tour is to celebrate them. You know, so where maybe before it wasn't as inclusive, but this time she was definitely intentional with making sure that my audience is seen and heard in every way, shape, or form, even from the movie to where now I'm highlighting some of the people in the audience, every single city, every single part of it, and not just for my benefit, just more so they see this is for them. So how community focused this tour is like, you only look at that like, okay, this is the status of community that you want. Because she was like, now I can highlight certain legends that you wouldn't know of. So for example, oh man, I wish I knew my man's name, but there's this voice that when you go into the underground scene of voguing that you know of. And she made sure that on this tour, you heard it throughout. He was part of it, brought him in rehearsals. Every part of different communities, they are represented in some way, shape, or form, because she's like, yo, now I'm able to show everybody. Before, I'm still, gathering myself, building up the awareness. But now I'm on a thing where I can do whatever I want. And this is what exactly I want. It goes, I was talking about this where I feel like every artist does this, I put out this album just because I want to, right? Drake did Honestly Nevermind. J. Cole did one that no one liked. I forgot what that was called, but he did it. Beyonce did this one, Renaissance, where it's just, this is what makes me happy. And it's for the core audience. Like the core people will appreciate that particular one. So I also think about it from a sense of when we get to our brand and certain products or services, at what point are you at that success and that status that you're like, yo, I'm just going to do this for more of me, but you're going to rock with it regardless. I think fashion people do it all the time. Like, I just like this. I'm going to put this out. So just the whole of the Beyonce movie from the process part was seriously amazing to see. Her transparency about the balance of, like, in this time period, I struggle with balance. Like, I still have to work extremely hard, but I'm a mom first. I'm a wife, and you see how that balance could beat her up at certain points. That with this behind the scenes look, you could see a lot of Beyonce being just human, where she was getting sick at certain points, had knee problems. Everything is just a really good movie. It's very inspiring. It will make you look at your work ethic and be like, yeah, nah. And she's done Homecoming for Netflix, and that was already showing how prepared she gets for certain events and certain performances. So it wasn't that we didn't already know Beyonce's work ethic is not good or we question it. But this movie kind of, for me, stamped it to where it was like, you gotta give it to her for one of the best performers, right? One of the best as far as audience experience, where each and every single tour just it just ups and ups and ups each and every single solitary time. Like, that production is how she broke down lighting, like how less is more, and being so specific with which lights actually turn on is so crazy. So crazy. And that, of course, I now understand, like, she bought 3 stages. 3. Not one. She bought one for when clearly she's performing. 2 is also are traveling, going to the next stadium. So there's no real true hiccups when she gets there. That, I'm like, oh, I'm not spending enough. I'm not spending enough. Like,
yeah.
I believe it was Jay-Z who said it, where it's like, I'm paraphrasing, where, like, if you can't buy it twice, don't buy it at all. She bought 3 times.
Right.
And these are not, like, that's not a cheap, like, situation. You heard Jabari on that episode of how much just one of his stages costs, right? Like, around, like, hers, it fills a stadium. She had 70,000 people in some of these joints.
That's major.
1,000.
That's major.
I can understand why her prices are the prices that they are. I can understand it. Yes. But yeah, it's such a good film. I've been blessed this year between the Tyler Perry and the Beyonce joint. Like, if y'all not watching those two, like, I don't know how serious you are about your entrepreneurship ways, or aspiring entrepreneurship, or just wanting to level up. I'm not really sure how serious you are if you're not watching those two. That's just my opinion.